Everybody, welcome to week number 2 in EDCI 6615, and really excited about the little journey you're about to embark on. This week, you're going to start the journaling portion and the coding portion for the autoethnography assignment. Now, this assignment is a really unique opportunity for you to kind of shift your perspective on how kids are already working in digital spaces. And for this assignment to really be powerful, you should select something that students are regularly on, or the community that you're serving is regularly on, and also something that is new to you, because being in that productive struggle is something that's going to be very important to your experience. In the video examples that I have for you on Canva, you're going to see how I went through the activity myself, but I'm going to share a few examples of different students and the work that they did. So I had some teachers who were teaching first and second grade, and they said, hey, Among Us is all the rage. Let's check this out. This was a couple of years ago. And when they went through Among Us, they said, well, it's pretty obvious like why the kids enjoy the game. It's funny. There's a lot of exploration. There's some suspense to it. But it's pretty violent, and I don't know if parents realize that there's assassinations taking place. So that's kind of concerning, because most of the kids that are playing these games are in the primary level. So then these teachers went ahead and created a guide for how they can share that type of information with parents. And then when it came to the class, they created their own math flip grid problems where kids would have to find who the imposter was. And the way that that worked was they would all the kids would be assigned a problem to solve, and then one kid would be assigned the problem and not solve it correctly, and then the kids were like working diligently to try and figure out who the imposter was, and it became a big hit, and they were able to share that with the course. And so then there are two of the key components that they were able to get out of the assignment. The first is that there were some things that were worrisome that they wanted to be able to share with parents, and then at the same time there were things that kids were doing that were engaging that could potentially make it into a formal academic setting. Another really great example was a high school teacher that was working with students, and they went and explored Twitch. Twitch is a streaming gaming platform where pretty much like you can play video games and then you just share it live, and people can watch. And the teacher found a lot of things that were really troublesome and decided to kind of create a guide on how they could, tell kids about the dangers of what was going on with that platform, things to look out for, things that were potentially not like socially or digitally healthy for them, as well as creating a guide to support other teachers to help them understand how some of these online usage patterns, aren't beneficial for their education. However, in that process, the teacher also found that a lot of kids were doing a lot of public speaking. A lot of students were doing like public speaking. They're sharing, they're talking, they're able to communicate. And is there any way that they were able to integrate that into the class? And there was. They also used Flipgrid to do that as well. One of the most unique assignments came out of a teacher that was working with adult students who were going back for their GED. These students were migrant students as well. The teacher said, I'm concerned about being able to complete this assignment because most of my students don't use any type of technology. And then I said, well, go ahead and survey them and see what they do use. And all of them said that they use their phone and primarily use WhatsApp. Well, that's awesome. WhatsApp is technology. There's some social aspects to it. So go ahead and figure out and find out, how exactly WhatsApp works and what they're using it for. And then this became one of the most unique projects that really got a rich kind of treasure trove of data to help you understand, how people are using it. The first thing that the teacher found was that the teachers were using it to the students were using it to build a social connection with the people that they were working with and friends and family in the area, but also friends and family back in their home country. Then the teacher also found that there were some really troublesome aspects for them with WhatsApp. For example, people would be contacting them claiming to be holding a family member ransom or for ransom. They would also be trying to get it, or they would also be getting extorted for money. So there was like this really like scary ecosystem of people trying to take money from a vulnerable population. And so then there was two things there that they could potentially do. One of them was on the positive end, how can the teacher maybe create like a group for the class where she can put reminders, additional supporting materials in the class, and then even, continue to share resources in the future after the students graduate. And then to really support the negative, or to kind of overcome the barriers from the negatives, how to create, like one pagers, or even provide like additional classes to the adults to show these different ways that people are trying to harm them in the digital spaces. Now, the unique part is that whether you're looking at the Roblox, the Twitch, or the WhatsApp, you ask all of the people in those settings how they learned to do that. And they follow the very familiar pattern that comes from the reading from Jenkins in the first week. And that's that, they most likely had some type of informal mentorship into that digital learning space. They were able to build a feeling of connection, and then there was a low barrier to engagement. Basically somebody was able to introduce them to the app and then somebody was able to help them sign in, and then finally, like, it was really easy to continue using. Are those skills that transfer over into a formal academic setting? The answer is yes. However, the challenge is how do we, create that bridge for students where they can be kind of the self learners or the expert learner that's able to use these different tools to enrich their own experience. And so, how do we do that? Well, that's what your job is in this assignment.